We'll jump right into it here.
Okay, let's do it.
Thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate you swinging by and giving us some of your valuable time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Zach, this all started, the juice truck, everything, the inception of this concept, and this baby that has now grown into like one of the most successful small businesses in BC. This all started in 2000 and...
We launched the truck in 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
So when was the first time you really got onto the juice train?
The juice train. Well, the truth is I got into the juicing when I was in high school. I used to be like a night owl like a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I would watch, sometimes if I needed to just like fall asleep, I'd put the infomercials on my like little 13-inch TV in my room.
Nice.
And the Juice Man was one of those infomercials, and he was like this like 80-year-old man that like, you know, could like pull trucks, and he like juice was his like secret sauce that allowed him to like live forever and be super strong. So I was at a thrift store in Steveston where I grew up, and they had like the Juice Man juicer. So I bought that when I was like in grade 10 or 11.
And you started juicing.
But that was kind of like precursor to 2 years later, like getting into the juice truck.
Shout out Steveson. That's awesome.
Shout out to Steveson.
We had who do we have on? Cole Walser from Steveson. He directs for like Channing Tatum and shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nice. Way to go.
Yeah, Steveson is like, I just went there 2 weekends ago with my girlfriend. Holy shit, what a beautiful, nice little town.
It's a little gem. It's a little secret spot that not everybody knows about.
No, totally. It's like it seems like you're 3 hours out of Vancouver, but you're really like right there. It's amazing.
It's a nice little quaint little waterfront village.
Oh my God, so nice. Fish and chips all day. Love it.
Yeah.
So 2011 it comes around, or probably 2010, 2009. You start thinking about this as a business. What happens here?
Yeah, so I guess to rewind back like previous to that, and like after the infomercials, myself and my buddy Ryan Slater, we kind of grew up together. We went to high school together, played soccer together. We both had graduated university, and we decided to take a backpacking trip through India and Nepal and Sri Lanka, and it was in Nepal that we kind of started to get the ideas for the juice truck. We kind of had this plan to go backpacking through Nepal into the Himalayas. So we did the Annapurna region first, and then we eventually did base camp in Everest. And when we were in Annapurna, we noticed the locals were drinking this like really orange, bright colored drink that looks kind of like that.
This one I have right in front of me.
Yeah, kind of like a Sunny D kind of color. But none of the travelers were drinking it, just the locals. So we're like, what's going on with that drink? Like, where do they get it?
What you guys got in there?
Is it Sunny D? What's going on? So we asked them, and it was from this berry called sea buckthorn, and it grew at high altitude. You can actually get it in Saskatchewan. It grows locally now, which is cool.
Okay, crazy.
But it's this berry that grows at high altitude, and it's high in iron and vitamin C, and like just kind of very nutrient dense. So they were depending on it for a lot of their health, because other than that, it was like starchy vegetables and not a lot of like nutrient dense foods that were growing up there. So we asked what it was. We tried it, and it was this really like tart, kind of sour sweet, this juice, and it kind of sparked this idea. As we traveled for the next year, we wanted to kind of seek out what locals were doing for natural health.
Because nothing grows up there.
Yeah. So, we started getting into the sea buckthorn, and then as we traveled through India, we got really into the Ayurvedic foods.
Ayurvedic foods.
Like, so Ayurveda is like an ancient, like it's like a traditional Indian medicine, basically.
Okay.
It's
a little bit of woo-woo. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's not Western medicine. It's like, like parallels to like traditional, like TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. They would argue that it's like more back than our Western medicine because it's got thousands of years versus, our like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But they've got, all sorts of different foods and like, we got part of it was the juicing. So whenever we were traveling, we'd go find the local juice stand, and we'd start our day with some juice. And we noticed that we were feeling really good. And a year later, we were back in Vancouver and trying to figure out what we wanted to do next. And we kept going back to the juice. And
going back to the juice, right?
Kind of slowly turned into a business model that turned into a food truck.
That turned into one of the most successful businesses in BC, which is like totally crazy.
Yeah.
The inception is wild. But like, it's just to go back to that, to the whole juicing thing, like as you grow a little bit older, you grow a little bit smarter, you start to go away from traditional ways of energizing yourself. Like,
For
oh
sure.
shit, this isn't sustainable, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you're a teenager, you're like, Monster Energy
Yeah,
drink,
yeah.
let's go,
Yeah.
you know? And then you're like, okay, like 10 glasses of coffee or 10 cups of coffee.
Totally.
And then you're like, okay, like this isn't intelligent.
Yeah.
I need to find something sustainable. So for me personally, it was just finding those like ginger shots.
Yeah.
Like you want an energy drink? Like take a shot of ginger,
Oh,
like
some
maybe
ginger.
some lemon juice and some
Yeah.
beet juice or whatever it may be. Like take one of those back,
Totally.
and like your system's gonna fire
Yeah.
up. Do it fasted,
Yeah.
and your system's really gonna fire up,
Like
right?
the cold shower of drinks.
It is the cold shower of drinks.
Yeah.
It's literally the cold shower of drinks, man. I literally had one earlier today and then hopped in a cold shower right
Nice.
before I came here.
Double whammy.
You need it, dude.
You're ready to go.
You need it, man. I need that fired upness. I need that. I need something that is, again, sustainable. And that's what's interesting about this stuff. And as much, I mean, we can talk about different ideologies and things like that. But what I love about the plant-based thing is that it's sustainable.
For sure.
Like period. Like it's sustainable. Like there's
Yeah.
no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no, like your body is going to thank you for this. And, you know, from a production standpoint, you know, you can renew that. That's not a
100%.
detriment.
Yeah.
And it's good all around. So those are the things I look for in things that I consume. Is like, okay, you know, can I do this for 30 years, for 40
Yeah.
years, for 50 years?
Yeah.
Is this a habit I can build now in
Yeah.
my 20s that's going to stick? Like, yes, drinking a Monster Energy drink every day?
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
no, not so much.
Hard to do that into your 80s.
Yeah, really.
And respect if you do, but
I don't know.
you might get diabetes or something along the way.
Yeah, not a good situation. So double back, you come here, you find these recipes, you find these like weird berries and Eastern medicine
Yeah, all sorts of
things and
stuff.
all types of like crazy stuff. And you're like, perfect, Vancouver needs this. Or like,
Yeah.
what's your thought?
So yeah, we were kind of trying to figure out if we wanted to go back to our old jobs or what we wanted to do next.
Oh, what
And
was your old job?
My dad had a small business here in architectural glass, so like cast glass. So it was like glass for facades of buildings and stuff like that. And
Okay.
myself and Ryan, we'd both kind of grown with the business since we were like 12 or so.
Sweet.
So, you know, there was a bit of a expectation both internally and externally that we'd like, you know, kind of
Yeah.
go with the business. But, you know, we kind of developed this passion and we wanted to, you know, we were kind of young and dumb at the time, and we wanted to, you know, see it through, see if
Yeah.
we could make something of it. And, you know, when we launched, we were 24 years old. So we didn't have too much fear. If it failed, we were like, you know, whatever, we can go work at a restaurant and pay off our debt.
You're broke like every other 24-year-old.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we had a level of, you know, being, you know, a bit naive to what it meant to run a business, and that I think was an advantage for us at the time.
It's funny how young and dumb serves you.
For sure.
Like it serves you. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like there's a reason why you have fucking testosterone going through your ears, you know?
Oh yeah. Like when we launched, like we were working. We'd get up at like 5 a.m. and prep, and we'd work all the way till like 6, and then we'd go have dinner, and then we'd go and do another shift, like, you know, to serve the night crowd. Like we had like a hangover menu when we first launched. So we'd go out again at like 7 to like 3 a.m. and then go to bed and then be up like 3 or 4 hours later. Like I couldn't do that now.
No.
Like
That's not healthy.
No chance. But we were like had so much adrenaline and we're so excited that it was just like
Yeah.
it was fun, you know?
Super fun. So when it first started, it's always like confusing for people because they're like, oh, the juice truck.
Yes.
But you guys have so many locations.
Yeah.
You guys have 6 locations?
We got 4 storefronts and 2
Yeah.
food trucks. So
But it started as a food truck, I'm
started as
assuming.
a food truck. Yeah. First 3 years we were just a food truck.
So you're like, okay, I got this idea. Let's get a juicer. Let's get a truck.
Yeah.
And let's go to Stanley Park and let's give out juice.
Yeah,
Or sell juice.
Basically, I mean, so we got back from a year of backpacking,
Yeah.
and we basically blew all of our savings.
Nice.
So, not knowing much about business, we had this idea. We wrote a couple paragraphs down, and we went to the banks and we're like, "Can we get a loan? We want to start a
No.
business." And they all kind of laughed at us, and that was our first lesson into business. That you know, a paragraph doesn't get you money from the
A
bank.
paragraph is not a business plan. No.
So we're like food truck, juice, money, please. So, we went to a few banks and they all said no. And from there, we kind of like recollected our thoughts and we went to Small Business BC and they taught us like how to actually write a business plan, which was hugely helpful. And then we were able to team up with a program called Futurepreneur, which helps finance like youth entrepreneurs under a certain age.
Sweet.
So it was like a $15,000 interest-free loan, which was pretty cool. So that was kind of like our first start. And then that kind of vetted us to go back to the banks. Like, we've gone through this, we've got our business plan, we have a little bit of financing, and we were able to basically start our business on like $40,000. So we really shoestringed it. Like, we did as much as we could ourselves.
Yeah.
And just did it on a tight budget.
Dude.
Bought a 1984 like delivery truck that we turned into a food truck.
So sick.
Yeah.
Got it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we got some help, but we did as much as we could on our own, for sure.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Wow, on 40K, the juice truck was born.
Yeah.
Wow. A $15,000 interest-free loan. That's a gift.
Yeah, that was a gift. Yeah.
How long is it interest-free for?
It's like a 5-year loan, but you pay it off like it's interest-free through the whole loan.
Right,
so if you're I think you're under 35 and you're looking to start a business, like, definitely look them up. They're a great resource. And the other cool thing is they set you up with a mentor.
No way.
And it's a free mentorship. So
that's good.
We had a friend that we grew up with named Devin Brooks, who was also, she'd done some things at a young age. She started Blow
Bar?
Yeah, Blow Bar.
Yes.
So she was young and had business experience. So she mentored us through our first few years and kind of like helped us avoid a lot of landmines that we would have definitely otherwise driven straight into.
Amazing. Yeah. Devin Brooks. Yeah. She has an app.
Yeah. She just launched Sphere, which is like kind of like the Tinder of coaching.
I love when people use these analogies, like the Tinder of this, the Uber of that, the Netflix of this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Netflix of jeans. Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah, everybody needs the Netflix of jeans. Sign me up.
It's really cool, actually. I think I ran into her on Instagram or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't out yet. It was a little while ago, and really cool. I love how people are harnessing these technologies. Fucking cool.
She's doing some good things. She'd be a good guest.
She's up in Whistler.
Damn. Her husband Shay is doing some cool things with mental health too. So maybe a double whammy of guests for future shows.
Write that down. We're gonna have to reach out there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a ton of. We don't see it. It's really funny. This is not where I'm trying to go with this, but it's really funny. Like, we have a slew of like mid to small level businesses with a ton of like entrepreneurs that are just spearheading the fuck out of it and are amazing people that are working on global scales. That like the province is just kind of like, you would never know. Unless you were actually digging deep, you would never know. We don't like push them at the forefront.
I know.
It's really weird.
We need to promote that. There's a lot of people doing big things here that
huge things.
It needs to be shouted a little bit louder so we all know, like, we can be proud of the things that are homegrown
and like take ownership of like what we represent. Like the juice truck is the prime example where you're like, I know people like from the States be like, yo, the juice truck's from Vancouver?
That's awesome.
That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't know? Like, and people from here wouldn't even know either. Like, like it's from Toronto or it's from the States. And I'm like, are you what?
Yeah. Sometimes like last week from our Fifth Ave store, I picked something up from a business that was 2 blocks over, and I was like, oh, come by for a juice or a smoothie sometime. And they're like, oh, what's your business? I'm like, the juice truck, it's 2 blocks away. They're like, oh, they're like, never heard of it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, well, here's the card, come on by. Which is always exciting, like that's like, that means there's a lot more work that you can do to like increase who knows about what you're doing and increase your foot traffic. And, if everybody knows what you're doing, then, your work's done. You need to keep working and
totally
keep sharing the word. There's
white space, right? There's you can go occupy that, which is like exciting, but it's also aggravating because we've talked about it on this podcast before, where it's just like we are failing to establish a collective identity. as a city.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different, it's very multicultural, but still, like, there's other cities in the world. Toronto is a prime example where they're very multicultural, but they've formed a collective identity, and they feel proud to be from there, right?
Yeah.
Versus, like, I don't feel as if we have that. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, I think we got to work on it. Like, I went to Emily Carr for university and studied painting of all things. So
oh, shit.
Before I went into business, I was in the art crowd. And there was always like a joke that like anybody that's good at art makes it, like they never make it in Vancouver. They have to go to Vancouver doesn't celebrate them until they've made it in New York or Chicago
or in LA.
Like once they've made it somewhere else, then like all of a sudden Vancouver's like proud, like, you know, like check out Jeff Wall, he's from here or whoever. Yeah. But it's never like we don't celebrate them here first, you know.
Yeah,
which we should.
And you don't know the stories of like how they came up. Like that's like, for instance, like a Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Like how did Seth Rogen become Seth Rogen?
Yeah.
We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We just know once he was huge and we're like, oh yeah, he is from Vancouver. You know Seth Rogen's from Vancouver? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like why is it that we haven't, like, for instance, just popping off the top of my head because he's a comedian, like the Kevin Hart story of like, everyone in Philadelphia knew about Kevin Hart because he was everywhere and the city celebrated him, right?
Totally.
Celebrated him. He'll go back there and sell out stadiums.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even if we have someone who's homegrown and comes back, like, they're not selling out BC Place.
Yeah, we got to work
on
that.
They're not selling out Rogers.
It's
true. They're going to the Commodore or whatever it is. And like, there's something wrong there. I don't know. It bugs me internally. I'm not even from here, man.
Yeah. Close.
Anyways, so small business loan. You started with 40 grand. I'm trying to get the origin story. I keep getting sidetracked.
Sorry.
We get here.
So we got the money. We bought the 1984 delivery truck. We give it a nice paint job and made it look new and fitted out a little kitchen inside. And we tested in my mom's kitchen, my parents' kitchen, like juices and smoothies and some food recipes for like 3 or 4 months, and did a bunch of focus groups and came up with the menu and made a bunch of bad things and a bunch of good things.
Groups? Okay.
Yeah, so we had little scorecards, and that's kind of how we came up with our menu.
Sweet.
And we were researching juicers, like what kind of juicer we wanted to use, and we came across the cold press juice, and like not really strategically, but more so just looking to find the best way to make juice possible. We ended up being the first cold press juice bar in Canada, which was like another kind of like lucky timing kind of thing. Like soon after we launched, like cold press juice became huge in LA.
Now there's a gazillion.
Now it's everywhere. You can get it at the grocery store and the corner store and 7-Eleven and everything. But at the time we were the first in Canada. So it kind of hit in those buzz cities in LA and New York, and that kind of gave us a lot of early traction once we launched, because if you're looking at cold pressed juice, we were the only place that you could get it at the time out of a little food truck. And we were making a fresh pour order, which was cool. Everybody else was doing bottled juice. Like if you went to LA or New York, they were just doing it in bottles. So we were doing it like fresh brew order, so it was like the healthiest possible juice you could get anywhere.
Man, just thinking about it now, 2011, like you were totally ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You were totally ahead of the curve. Like, when did this whole cold pressed juice start popping off?
Around like 2010 in like Blueprint Cleanse in New York, and like Press Juicery is the big one in LA, and they launched like 4 or 5 months before we did. They blew up. They've got like 40 stores or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the traction, and then more and more stores in LA, more and more stores in New York, and then we kind of had it just to ourselves for a couple years. And then,
I was gonna say like 2014, 2015. But I don't know. I have like no basis in saying that.
Yeah, we had probably like 2 or 3 years where we were like the only cat in town, and then more people opened. And like being young and in business at first, it kind of freaked us out. But once we were able to get some perspective and some hindsight, it actually like collectively grew the market, and it just, benefited like everybody really. Like if you were drinking juice here or there, it became like a thing of convenience and a lifestyle thing. So it kind of, it grew the kind of the market share of who was into health and wellness.
It's almost like a status thing.
Yeah.
Do you think so? I don't know.
Well, I would say like, what you're drinking or what you're eating does reflect, your values and your beliefs. Like if you're, representing an active lifestyle, if you're representing a healthy lifestyle, if you're representing, if you're supporting local, whatever. Like, I think what you put in your cup, what you put on your plate says more than you might read into. Like, if you're carrying a Starbucks cup versus a Matchstick cup, like,
That's a good point.
You can read into that
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It totally does. You know what? Like, if I have this and I'm walking down, like I work downtown, and if I have this, I'm thinking, and I see someone else with this, I'm thinking, dope. They shop local.
Yeah.
They're aware of their body and what they're putting in it. They are aware of what juice can do.
Yeah.
And they also have the money to spend. How much is this little bottle?
Those would be like $4.50.
Okay, so that's pretty cheap. That's cheaper than I thought.
Yeah,
right.
We try to keep our prices like as reasonable as possible, so but it's still like, if you're comparing it to like a Fruitopia or a Sunny D,
right,
or like a pasteurized juice that you can get at Safeway. It's definitely like you can get a liter for $4.50 of that.
Totally.
So
what about your bigger ones?
The full size ones that are 60 ounces are $9.
Yeah. Okay. So all right.
Like part of our business model is to be like as approachable and inclusive as possible. So we try to keep our prices to a certain point. So $9 is more affordable than other options, but it is still
still $9.
It's still $9, and that's you could get a full meal somewhere else for $9. So it is like an investment. Depends like. I see the value of investing in your health and investing in your well-being, but it is you have to have a few dollars to put towards it.
No, you totally do. But, I'm just reading right here, unpasteurized juice.
Yes.
When I think unpasteurized, I think of milk.
Yeah, it's definitely not milk.
What does that mean for an idiot like me?
Yeah, cool. So if you go to like a grocery store and you get, the liter juice that's, let's say the OJ or whatever. So when juice is pasteurized, it's usually heat treated. So when it's heat treated, there's a couple of things that kind of kill the nutrients in juice and smoothies, and heat and friction are the two big ones. So if you're pasteurizing something, you're usually bringing it up to a high heat, and that basically kills all of the nutrients in the juice. So they have to refortify it with vitamins or whatever. So you're not getting you're basically drinking like a sugar drink with refortified vitamins.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that like your body in terms of sugar content doesn't know the difference between like a glass of orange juice and a cup of Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Does that have is that rooted in truth?
There is some truth to that.
Okay.
Like if you're having, I think that's where the pasteurized juice comes in. Like, so the thing with cold pressed juice that's interesting. So it was invented by a doctor in like the 1920s, Dr. Norman Walker, and
shout out Norman
Walker, trendsetter, 1920s.
1920, baby.
That's when cold pressed juice was invented. So it took a little while to get mainstream.
Only took 90 years. Yeah.
So he created it with Gerson therapy, which is a cancer treatment.
Oh
wow. For he was kind of doing some cutting edge cancer treatments back then. And it was like he created a way to allow your body to intake the most nutrients in the easiest digestible form. So the cold pressed juice is basically a very slow turning blade that, like, if you throw the apples and the kale and all that stuff, it kind of pulverizes into a pulp, and the blade's turning at such a low speed that there's no like heat or friction, and then it goes into a hydraulic press, which exerts 2 tons of hydraulic pressure onto the bag of pressure.
That's a lot for those that don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah, like that, like crush your hand or whatever, you crush things. So you're pressing with this 2 tons, which allows you to get the maximum amounts of nutrients and vitamins and all of that without killing anything from heat or friction.
So why do they kill in the first place?
So, like, if you went and got a normal juice, the first thing that's going to kill the nutrients is, so they're called masticating juicers, and it's a fast-turning blade that's, like, separating the pulp and the liquid at once. So the speed creates the heat, and that's killing, basically the things that you want to get out of the juice.
And they're doing that for a production efficiency.
Yeah. And then the second thing is if you're pasteurizing it with heat. So basically you've got like a vitamin Y, like a Gatorade quality kind of product at the end. But if you cold press it, there's no heat, there's no friction, so it's retaining all of the vitamins and the nutrients and the minerals and all of that stuff. So when you drink it, your body's absorbing it. So like just is a general rule of thumb. Like, you need to have fiber in your diet. So there's no fiber in this. But the benefit to that is when you take fiber out, your body's able to assimilate the nutrients and the vitamins much quicker.
That's why it feels like an energy shot. That's why it feels like an energy drink.
Yeah. So it's like a quick jolt. You're getting those nutrients straight into the system.
Right.
Sometimes with fiber, it just passes through you, so you don't get the full maximum potential of all those nutrients. But you do need to have some fiber in your day. So smoothies, food, we like to say that juice is like the perfect addition to a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle. But if you're just doing exclusively juice for a very long time, there can be some damaging effects.
Right. So your body uses fiber to regulate vitamins, nutrients, sugars. Kind of.
Fiber's we always preach, there's a big protein trend. Everybody wants to get as much protein as possible, but we're always preach that it's actually all about the fiber. Fiber allows you to recover quicker because the recovery starts in your guts. So if you got a healthy fiber game, if you're eating a high fiber diet, you're going to be able to work out harder. You're going to be able to recover faster. You're going to see bigger gains.
It's all about them gains, man.
See those bigger gains. Also, you're going to be happier because the gut-brain connection from the microbiome. So if you've got a healthy gut, it helps with your brain health. It helps with your happiness. So
please, that's crazy.
Bring that fiber into your life. You're going to get enough protein just from eating food.
Yeah, no, totally. And people hate on it. It's for some really weird reason.
Yeah,
I've no idea. Can you speak a little bit on I know probably 1% of what in terms of the microbiome, that. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I like to read on it, and nutrients is extremely interesting. That I know nothing about. Because it's so complex, and you literally need a degree in it just to skim the surface.
For sure.
So for dumb people myself, how when people want to hear people talk about, how's your gut biome, how's your microbiome, that's probably, this is the reason why this is happening to you, or you have low energy levels, or you're getting certain reactions to these type of foods. I'm just cool, that's awesome. I don't know what that means.
So I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but I listen to a lot of podcasts as well. And I read a lot of books, and so I'm a Google expert.
Yes. I like that term. Holy shit, that's a great term. I'm a Google expert.
So I wouldn't quote me on much of anything.
That's all right.
So the microbiome is basically your gut health, and what you're putting into your gut kind of dictates that. So if you're eating a high sugar diet, you're gonna crave high sugar things. If you're eating healthy, kale salads every day and quinoa and all of that, that's what you're gonna crave, and it creates a healthy bacteria basically in your gut. So if you're having probiotics and prebiotics and a high fiber diet, your microbiome is going to be very healthy, and it's going to promote general wellness for your whole body. It's amazing how much influence the guts have on your whole well-being. So in terms of recovery, in terms of mental health, in terms of weight loss, in terms of cravings, all sorts of stuff, it all happens in your gut. So
really interesting.
We spend a lot of time working on the outside of our body through exercise and stuff, but we gotta focus on what we're putting in our body too.
100%. No, 100%. So what I kind of got from that was your microbiome will adapt to what you're putting into it and crave more of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So you're putting sugars in, it will crave more sugars. You're putting healthy things in, it will crave healthy things. It's when people, when they go, when they initially go vegan, or when they initially go vegetarian, or, what is the other side of the spectrum? When people only eat meat, what is that called?
A carnivore diet, or a paleo diet.
Sorry, my bad.
Keto diet.
Or keto diet or whatever. Your microbiome will adjust to that, and you won't crave whatever it is that you just came off of, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's part of it, for sure.
Okay, cool.
And then just making sure we have healthy bacteria in our gut.
Right.
So healthy bacteria come fermented foods. You see that a lot, the kombuchas and the sauerkrauts and the kimchis, and there's fermented vegan cheeses out there and all sorts of stuff. So probiotics, you'll hear a lot about probiotics. So that's gonna prebiotics and probiotics are gonna help maintain that healthy gut flow. I mean, the fermented foods are really good because they're going to go through your whole gut. When you're taking a probiotic, sometimes it doesn't like assimilate into your whole digestive tract, which is super long.
Right.
But if you're eating a lot of fiber, that's number one.
Okay.
I'm a big fiber preacher.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Fiber, substance, good.
Yeah.
Cool, sweet. So you might, I don't even know what, so prebiotic and a probiotic, what is the difference?
So the probiotics often like the fermented foods, like
Okay.
so you're, I'm gonna say vegan because that's
cool.
that's what I prescribe to. So like your vegan yogurts, your sauerkrauts, your kimchis, your kombuchas.
Yeah.
You can get probiotic supplements. Not all of them are vegan. A lot of them come from different sources. So just check out where it's coming from. And then your prebiotics are really like your fiber, like your. You can get that from like quinoas or brown rices or like, most all leafy greens are full of fiber. So like the combination of the two is gonna like you're checking out pretty good.
Nice. I like it. You're gonna be checking out pretty good.
The doctor will be happy with you.
That's amazing. So as a founder and as an entrepreneur of this juice truck, how much do you really have to know on the nutrient side? Like, you're clearly very knowledgeable, but when you're just getting into this, you're just like, hey man, it's gonna make you feel great. Yeah. You good. Like, how do you have to have a deep knowledge base?
I mean, it definitely helps. Like I'm like a hobbyist, like student of life kind of thing. Like I just like learning and like expanding my understanding of things, but I'm not a nutritionist. So we've teamed up. When we first launched, we teamed up with a company called Feed Life. And they're Eden McDonald was the nutritionist there. And her husband Colin Metters is like a master herbalist. So he kind of helped us they both helped us kind of assure that our recipes were nutritionally sound.
Nice.
And then we've also worked with some naturopaths. So we bring in the experts to make sure we're doing things right.
I like it.
And then I just kind of learn to like make sure that I can make informed decisions as we grow and with the products that we're bringing on and with the recipes that we're rolling out.
Yeah, those are some super cool people, man. Master herbalists, that's pretty interesting. We have a couple of those where I come from too. Yeah. Well, a little bit different types.
Yeah, those are important people too.
Horticulture.
Yeah.
Anyways,
healing herbs.
Healing herbs. Yeah. Healing herbs from the earth for you and for me. It's good stuff.
Exactly.
But it's really important, like as someone who's running this at the forefront of this, shit, is there a lot to know? Oh, yeah. Like, as you go into any field or anything that you do, as soon as you step into it, you're like, okay, now I need to know these 18 things really well.
Totally.
Having the know-it-all and just the ability to say, okay, I'm going to touch on this, and get a broad idea, but I'm going to go out and outsource or find someone who knows, because I know that I'm not good in that lane. Yeah. So I'm going to put this person in position. Like, I'm the type of person where I'd be like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to learn everything down here, and then I'm going to learn everything down the next one. And then in the meantime, I haven't got anything done because I'm just trying to go down these knowledge holes, right?
For sure.
So I find it tough.
Yeah, we're similar. Like, we're an expert at a few things, but we try to surround ourselves with people that know what they're doing so that they can kind of keep us going on the right path.
Mm-hmm. So when you say we, you mean yourself and Ryan?
Yeah.
So from everyone that I talk to, everyone says that you're like the idea guy, and everyone says that he's the executor, the practitioner. Yeah. Is there some truth in that? How's that develop?
For sure. So that was kind of the benefit of us growing up together and working at my dad's business. We kind of quickly identified that we had different skill sets that complemented each other nicely. Yeah. So Ryan's very much like the implementer, the logistics guy, the doer. I'm very much like the head in the cloud, the ideas guy. I've got lots of different visions of directions that we could go, and Ryan always filters it down. I'll throw 100 things his way, and he'll be like, no, that's a bad idea. No, that's a bad idea. Okay, that one's okay. Let's talk about that one. So, we talk a lot about when you're going into business, there's two key roles, and it's hard to do both of them. One's the visionary role, and one's the implementer role.
Right.
And if you're a visionary and you don't have an implementer, it's hard to see your idea come to fruition. And if you're an implementer, you kind of need that vision to kind of put to work.
Totally.
Both are equally as important. So we've been kind of lucky to, I mean, we both wear both hats to a degree, but we definitely are kind of how we work complements each other, and we're able to work efficiently that way.
Totally. Yeah. You know what? It's really hard to do. So 2 questions for you on that. Number 1 is, how did you develop that relationship? Because thoughtful disagreement's really hard to like, especially if you have if you're not a sole proprietor and you do have partners in your business, or you have a board that you're working with, like that's extremely difficult to get things done and have a good relationship. You know what I'm saying? How did you work that out?
So we definitely disagree on things all the time, but ultimately it comes down to just respecting each other and like being able to communicate in a respectful way, so that we're able to talk through.
That's not easy sometimes.
I know, for sure. It's not easy in theory, but I think if you like remind yourselves that like, okay, we started this as friends, we're still friends, and like that friendship is important to us, we're able to respect that friendship, and that's able to be a filter that allows us to communicate in a, I would say, in a thoughtful manner, and we're able to talk through things like 100% of the time if we don't agree on something.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And we also have other people on our team. So like my wife works with us as well. Nice. So like, you know, there's a lot of filters that come into making decisions.
Hey, Zach, maybe you shouldn't say that.
Yeah. My wife's like the real boss of the juice truck.
Nice. I like it. We should have her here. What the hell? Let's go.
She's the smart one.
Amazing. Yeah. You know, it's really tough because it's like, I've had a couple friends that have gone down business ventures together and like gotten deep in those business ventures and had times where like, listen, we just don't see eye to eye on this. I value our friendship more than this business. Let's scrap the business.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't, if I was in that situation, like I'm that hard-headed, stupid motherfucker that's just like, nah, let's run through the wall. We can do it. Yeah. You know, versus like having the wisdom and the know-with-all and the knowledge, just be like, yo, this isn't worth it.
Totally.
That's tough.
We've kind of taken like the path less traveled. Like we've hired so many friends, like our operations manager we've known since we were like 12 years old. We've hired like dozens of friends, family, and that kind of like I think is our secret sauce in a way, because work's super fun all the time. Like we you know, people come early and they stay late because they're having fun.
Hell yeah.
So you know, people say don't hire friends, don't hire family. We've kind of like done the opposite, and that's been a big part of what's worked for us.
Well, you know what, it creates a playful environment.
Yeah.
And there's no like, I've had good jobs and bad jobs, and I've been in startup companies in situations where you're like, things are moving so fast, you're fearful to come to work. And then I've been in other situations, like, you know, like here at Self-Hire, where it's just like, yo, we're getting a ton of stuff done. We're also having a ton of fun constantly, and just like, you know, shit is getting done, but like we're also fucking around and having fun and making fun of each other. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, you need that playful environment, right? I never understood that, like, don't mix don't mix family and business, or don't mix friends and business. And I was always like, I never really agreed with that, but I understood it, but I never really agree with it, because I'm like, well, how are you supposed to have fun then? Like,
and that's a big part of our business. Like, we don't take anything too seriously. Fun is like first. If we're not having fun, then we're not doing it right. So that's like a big filter, like top down, how we do things.
Super, super important. So that's the first question. Second question was you said that, you know, a lot of you just generate ideas like crazy. I'm sure you're just one of those people that their mind never turns off, and you just go, shit, let me write that down, or whatever it is, and then you filter those through your business partner. But what have been some of those bad ideas that you've actually acted on? Like, what have been some misturns or some mispivots that you can think of?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, like that we were doing like late night hangover helpers. That was like one of our like core ideas when we were launching the business. Like, you know, at night we'll go by the bars and we'll have this like nutrient dense juices that will, like, you know, curb people's hangovers. So
that sounds like a good idea to me. Like,
right? Thought it was a good idea. So we're going to these, rolling up to like the bars in Gastown at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever it was. And, you know, people were like cutting their drugs on our table in front and getting into fights, you know, or their boyfriends were freaking out their girlfriends about, like, you know, the $8 juice or whatever. Like, it's the cost of a beer. And it was just like crazy. Like, you know, like drunk people were trying to climb in the truck, and it was just like, God. You know, it was like a hostile, it was like a frat hostile environment in a way. So we're like, We cut that after 3 or 4 weeks, and that was
Over 3 or 4 weeks. That's it. That's all I made.
That was all it took, and that was
shit.
half of our business plan when we launched. So
no.
so that was definitely one of the ideas that didn't work.
Fuck. That's not very long.
Yeah, that wasn't very long.
Not very long.
But I'd say as a whole, our whole business is trial and error. We try things, doesn't work, we get rid of it. We're pretty quick to pivot, quick to make changes.
It seems more trial than it is error. I mean, from the outside, at least looking in, it seems like you guys have had a lot more hits than you've had misses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you get, more a better guesstimate of what's going to work and what's not going to work the more you do it. And we really listen to our customers a lot too. So if people are asking, the latest one is celery juice. People are crazy about celery juice, and we don't always follow the trends. We try to make sure there's
validity to the trend.
Yeah, validity. Activated charcoal was a big one a couple years ago, and we didn't get into that one because if you have too much charcoal, you're getting rid of we're talking about microbiome. It's gonna pull the good and the bad from your gut. So if you're drinking charcoal lemonade every day, all of a sudden you're gonna have no good bacteria left in your gut.
Okay.
It's good if you're feeling sick or you got food poisoning, but it's not good for an everyday beverage. So we didn't jump on the boat for that one. But celery juice, we were getting people were coming in because we do cold press custom juices. You can make whatever you want. We were making 20 to 30 celery juices a day, and it wasn't even on the menu. So we were just okay, we need to listen to the
There's
people here.
market demand here. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I've been on the celery wagon. I like to try everything myself to see how I feel.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I find it's improves. There's a laundry list of what celery juice, the benefits to it, and I can't say I believe in the whole laundry list because it's pretty extensive. It's people are preaching it as a cure-all, and anytime someone's this one thing will fix all of your problems in life,
you're no,
you should be skeptical.
Yeah.
But I do think it's good for digestion. It's good for bloating. It's good for your skin. It's full of it's got healthy salt in it, which is good for your thyroid and stuff like that. So I think it's if a lot of people are on the intermittent fasting and stuff like that, if that's your first thing you have after you've fasted or whatever, that's a nice way to kind of curb your kind of transition back towards food. Right. So I feel pretty good having celery juice in the morning.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, when the charcoal thing came through, I was that's I don't know. I had it once. I was I don't know. That's all. I didn't give it any real run. I haven't even tried the celery juice thing yet.
Yeah,
but
I should have brought some for you.
I hear all
Tastes
about it.
Tastes like celery.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. We've had guests on here that have preached it. Carmel Rodriguez dies by it. She's she loves it. And I think all that stuff too. I just need to get a juicer.
Yeah.
What's the best at-home juicer? I'm being selfish here.
Yeah, for sure. I would say firstly check Craigslist because people get excited to juice and it's pretty messy and actually fairly expensive to do at home. Yeah. So people get into it with the best of intentions, and then a couple of weeks later, it's on Craigslist. So, if you go on Craigslist or not on Craigslist, I'd say the number one is the Huram Slow Juicer.
Okay.
It's a couple $100,
okay.
But it's compared to other, let's call them the masticating juicers, it has a slower moving rotor.
You said masticating?
Masticating.
Nice.
So that's the one that's pulling the fiber from the liquid in one motion versus the cold press.
Cool.
So the Huram is the slowest of those.
Cool.
So it's pretty good.
Okay.
The other two, there's one called the Super Angel. That one's more expensive. It's $600. Mm-hmm. So if you're really going to invest in a home juicer, that's a good one to go with. If you really want to invest, what we use is the Norwalk cold press, but those are a couple grand a juicer. So you have to be serious. This is part of your lifestyle, forever kind of thing.
You're here now.
You're here now.
This is part of you.
And then if you just want a cheap one to see if this is something that's going to stick, the Breville juicer's pretty good, and it's not going to cost you too much money.
Yeah, I see that around. That was totally the wrong answer, man. The answer was you can't juice at home, and you have to come to the juice truck.
Just come to the juice truck. We'll take care of you.
It's the only way to get juice ever.
Yeah,
come to the juice truck.
It's true.
Period.
I mean, in all honesty, like we have so many customers that go buy juicers, and then just like I said, like a month later, we don't see them for a month, and then they come back and they're like, "Damn, I was going to Whole Foods and I was spending like $30 on a juice," like because you know if you're buying like,
because you're not buying in the bulk that you guys are buying in, right?
Yeah,
Economies of scale.
Yeah, so if you're going and buying all the fancy produce at Whole Foods, like it's going to be a pricey juice that you're knocking back every day.
I know. I'm like one of those guys where I'm always like, fuck it, I'll do it at home. Yeah, like this is one of the things I don't think it applies.
And you're cleaning, it's going to take you an hour.
Yeah.
We used to juice at home too, and then we're just like, this is too much.
No. So let's jump back a little bit, because still trying to get this. I always mess this up. I'm always like, oh, let's get the origin story, and then we go off on eight different fucking tangents, and then we finally, by the end of the podcast, we get the end of it. But so you guys were at one juice truck.
Yeah.
You were 40K down.
Yeah.
How did you go from 1 to 2? Because that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
You know, like it's from 5 to 10 is a different game, but from 1 to 2 is like, holy shit. For sure,
you're like doubling your business.
Yeah.
We were advocates of slow growth. We really wanted to make sure that our model was working and that it was sustainable before we grew, and we didn't want to over debt ourselves. So it was just us on the truck for 3 years before we took a step. So I guess at year 2, similar to the celery juice, people were coming to the truck and asking for juice cleanses, and grocery stores were asking for bottled juice. So at first we were just doing it in mason jars in the truck, but Ryan, year 2 he started. He went off the truck and started like bottling stuff at our commissary kitchen. But at year 3 we kind of had made enough money through the truck sales that we were able to basically finance on our own. The build out of a commercial kitchen for ourselves and a cafe and community space. So we kind of built out, again on a shoestring, a 5,000 square foot spot on 5th on Ontario. That's now like a production facility or a kitchen. We got a space for community events, and then our first like storefront cafe. So it's kind of like a multi-purpose space, and we just kind of like did it so cheap. So nice. We were like,
it's minimalist.
Yeah. We were just trying to do things as much as we could ourselves. We got a little bit of money from the bank at that point. But since then we've been able to like continually debt finance through the bank to finance our growth.
Amazing.
So we've been able to keep it between myself and Ryan as ownership.
Yeah, that's super key.
Which is cool for sure.
That's really cool.
Gives us kind of full control of the direction, and we don't have to answer to anyone. So we've been lucky that the banks have backed our crazy ideas.
That's all right. Yeah. I mean, well, they've clearly worked, and I'm sure they believe in the people as well, right? And you guys have, obviously built up your reputation as well. So I'm sure you have some leverage there as well. I don't think people understand how key, like, not diluting ownership is, and how key capital structure is in the long term, especially if, I mean, we're here talking about where you guys have been, but like, the next step for you guys, I know nothing, but looking from the outside in, seems like these things like capital structure and debt structure are going to be super important for you guys moving forward for the next steps, right?
Yeah. If you're in big debt, it's hard to finance your growth.
Yeah. It's really tough.
Well, like cash is king. So you got to keep the cash flow healthy, and, it's hard to grow if you're stretched financially.
Yeah, and it's hard to attract investors, and it's hard to attract and grow in different markets and develop new markets and develop new products. Like, keep your money right, people. Just keep your money right. That's all it is.
I think it's sexy to go get investors and kind of like go down that path, and it definitely like there's a lot of benefits for certain businesses, and if you're bringing on the right partners, it's can help you exponentially. But we felt that the longer we can hang on to it, the better for the growth of the business.
Who's to say you can't always hang on to it?
Yeah, for sure. If I mean, that's our goal, and we should be able to, as long as we're sustainably growing. And
well, you guys seem like you're doing it right.
Thank you.
Like, you guys, I mean, just from the outside in, I mean, I know that in small businesses and mid-sized businesses, people, the juice truck is a perfect example from my view, where it's like you see from the outside in, you're like, wow, this is going fucking beautifully. But from a person that's been in startups and small businesses, like externally might look amazing.
Yeah.
Internally, it's fucking grinding.
Oh, it's always,
those gears are just like, you don't have the money for oil, and you can't.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about like the financial stresses, like I'm happy that like Ryan wears that hat.
Yeah.
And he manages our finances and stuff like that. Obviously, I have to know what's going on.
Of course.
And be literate financially.
Of course.
But he's our money guy. So
yeah, it's so paramount to have, like you said earlier, the separation of like the visionary and then the practitioner and the executor, because it's you could draw similar parallels. Where my mind goes is like as an artist or as a musician, where it's like, if you have a musician that's trying to manage themselves, their creative energy is going to get drained
100%.
in the management and in the business side of things, right? So just like let that go and be someone else.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you have to trust somebody, right?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. I know.
For me, that would be hard.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork for sure. It definitely takes a village, it takes a village. You guys seem as if you have not shied away from, bringing people in and trusting in an extent. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but if I have a baby in something that is like really growing and shows a lot of potential and a lot of upside, like I'm hesitant to bring people in.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, holy fuck, like
that's your thing. That's your baby.
Like that's literally your baby, and it's like blood, sweat, and tears. It's
Yeah.
probably like, I haven't raised a kid, but I bet it's just as hard, if not harder. You know what I'm saying? So how have you got past that like trust barrier in order to build the village that you have today?
Yeah, I think like trial and error for sure, and just trusting our intuition. Like most of our decisions are made on like how, like obviously we'll check that they make sense financially, but most big decisions are like, how does this feel?
Right.
Does this check out? Like, we have gone down paths of talking to investors and partners and all sorts of things, and at the end of the day it never felt right. And that was what kind of guided us to kind of stick to our guns and just running the business between the two of us. But also like surrounding ourselves with like smart people. Like we meet a lot with other small businesses, with owners, so that we can talk about trials and tribulations, and we kind of help each other collectively, and what works and what doesn't work on staffing issues and growth issues and financial issues, so that we are, like you mentioned, the village, like the small business community in Vancouver is super supportive, and likewise to the plant-based community, it's super like we all are invested in each other's success. So
totally,
I think if you have that community and you have that network, like things don't seem so daunting, because you've got like that safety net there to support you.
But still, man, like I
think certain people are more adverse to risk too. Like risk excites me. Like it doesn't scare me. Like if something's like scary or intimidating, like that excites me. Like I want things that are like hard and challenging and like are gonna push me out of my comfort zone, because that's where we grow and that's where opportunities are. Like the safe lane doesn't really get you anywhere. So
there's no fruit there.
Yeah. So I mean, some people like, they want their safe job, they want, their pension.
Yeah. That's not for you.
I'm like, put me in the fast lane and let's try some crazy things.
Yeah, no, and it's clearly paid off. I mean, exponentially, and it's really good to hear that the small business community is so interlocked and really supportive. So in these early days, when you were trying to really actually develop a customer base, like, how were you trying to, like, just from a marketing standpoint, how were you trying to like impact and infiltrate certain communities? Were there certain ones you're trying to get into? How did you actually, because you guys like have, I say this like, scaringly, like you almost have like a cult like following. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a lot of people that will be like yes, every day or whatever it is, right? Like, or every week, or every time I can go there, I'm there. But you had to develop that some way, because like that's amazing. You've branded that really well. For sure. I mean, part of our strategy and what makes our business going to work fun is like community and collaboration are huge pillars in what we do. So
we try to be a hub, like a home for health and wellness. So we're always hosting events, and like the events don't all have to be like around plant-based food. Like the filter's always fun. Like,
Filter's always fun.
The filter's always fun. So like we've made shoes with native shoes that were like, designed by our team. We've done like, all sorts of crazy. We've done stuff with Herschel and Lululemon and Nike. Like it doesn't always have to be like food. It can be like outside of the box. Like we do movie nights with Air in Ireland, and we do pop-up dinners, and we do like I have to run after this because we've got like a cycling group on Monday. So like, we try to build the community that we want to be a part of.
Where's your cycling group?
So on Mondays we meet at our 5th Ave location, and we go for a little bike ride.
Sick.
Yeah, it's fun. We try to get, like I said, like we have a soccer team. So like, okay, we try to build the lifestyle that Ryan and I, love. Yeah. So it's like beyond just food. It's like, it's movement, it's mindfulness, it's like the whole picture, and we try to be a hub for those events in that community, and I think that's what creates like the lifestyle behind the juice truck.
That's freaking cool. So the first place my mind goes, how the hell do you manage all that? Yeah, because that's a lot. Because saying things like, yeah, we have a soccer team, we do these cycling groups and stuff like that, like that's really cool, and everyone on the surface is like, yeah, go do that. But like now you have 10 things that are all your thing, and you need to manage them and make sure they're successful. How the hell do you do that?
Well, like, I mean, with the cycling group, it's just that's just selfishly inspired because I want to be able to ride my bike more. So I'm like, well, if I make like a group that's at the juice truck, then like there's one day a week that I'm definitely riding my bike.
Nice.
Same with soccer. Like we just both love soccer, so we're like, well, if we have a juice truck team, we can play soccer all the time. But we grew up in Steveston, which is a very like small community oriented place. So it was always like second nature to like be very inclusive, and like when you're doing something, you want to do it with everybody and kind of have it done in like a family way. So like we always want to have like, we regularly have pop-up dinners, and we regularly have movie nights, and like we want to do things that like make you feel that you're included and you're a part of something and you're welcome, and like it's not intimidating. So like that sort of stuff is that's what excites us. Like that's, the food and the juice aside, and the smoothies and all that, like the events and the culture piece is kind of like the why we want to do things.
Do you have like a community manager or something?
That's kind of like, that's my wheelhouse to a certain degree. That's where I get excited.
Dude, okay.
But we do have like, each manager has their own passion, so that's part of the job too. Like we want to facilitate so that it's more than a job. If you're into dancing or if you're into music, we want to try to facilitate those things when you're working at the juice truck, so that it's not a 9 to 5. It's something that like you're able to connect your passions with your practice, so that it feels exciting to come to work. So each store does something different. Like we've done karaoke nights at certain stores. Main Street, they're really into music, so they do live lounge once a month where they have like open mic nights and stuff like that. So
so cool. So it kind of takes care of itself in a way,
for sure. As long as we have that like yes mentality, and like our team knows that like if they have an idea that they're passionate about and we're going to support it, then it kind of spirals and builds itself.
Really cool. But at one point it didn't build itself because you didn't have the locations and the managers and stuff. So what were the first ones, like at stage 1 and 2?
The first things that we did?
Get to,
well, we teamed up with a yoga studio close by that's not around anymore, but we did some movie nights with them.
Sweet.
We did some collabs early on. Like we did one with Air in Ireland was one of our first collabs. Okay. We did like a banana bread smoothie, which was kind of like a treat smoothie.
Sweet.
Like our first big one, there's like, do you know Jeff Hamada from Boom? If you heard of, you should have him on his podcast. He's like one of the most creative guys in Vancouver.
We got 2 plugs now.
There you go.
Oh wait, Boom with a bunch of O's?
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of know what that is. I don't know. Go ahead though.
So it's like a art and design website that promotes creative creative talents.
Yeah.
And Jeff is like one of the most creative, intellectual, interesting people that I know.
Okay.
So one of our first big collabs was with him. We did like a brain night where we like had all
Brain
these,
night?
like, we had all these, it was just like puzzles and games and like stuff like that. But we got like, it was crazy. We had like 300 people come out just to play like games and like get prizes and stuff like that.
Dude, I'm so excited just sitting here. Like, that's epic.
Yeah. So, you know, like,
What the fuck?
we just try to have fun, basically.
That's really cool, man. So I'm as a young person, I'm always like, you know, I want to blur the lines between work and play.
Yes, you
Constantly.
got to. You got to.
Like, I don't even want there to be a line.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, I want to maintain a level of, like, you know, you're always like, yeah, oh, I'm at work, I have to be a certain level of respectful and kind. I'm like, why can't you just be respectful and kind in your life?
Yeah.
And then the whole professional thing of respectful and kind and gracious, like, why don't you just bring that to your whole
For sure.
life, and then you don't have to like turn your brain on in a certain way or turn your brain off in a certain way, act a certain way this way, act a certain way that way. Why can't you just be a genuine human all the time? Does that work? That's like one of the theses in my head. Like, I'm like, I think that works. Like,
that sounds pretty good to
maybe,
me. Yeah.
You know, and seeing the guys like yourself and other people we had on this podcast, people I work with outside of here, like, okay, I think that's what they're doing, and I think that's the way to go, rather than like the traditional, like, oh no, I'm at work, I'm acting a certain way because this is professional. It's like, just be good.
Put your suit and tie on, and all of a sudden,
be good.
Yeah,
just be good.
Yeah, that's a good filter.
I think.
Yeah.
Filter everything with fun.
Yeah.
Filter everything with fun. So cool. So Jeff from Boom.
Yeah.
And you had these different community events. You had like a ton of people coming out to these like little pop-up things. So you really built through collaboration. You really built through community.
Yeah.
Did you guys try to go like the mass market route at all, or?
Like, we do have products in grocery stores, so we sell our juices and some of our products in like around 50 or so grocery stores. So that's kind of like our mass market thing.
Where are you guys in?
Like everywhere from like Whole Foods to IGA. So you can find our juice like at most bigger grocery stores in the greater Vancouver area. The juices only have a 3-day shelf life because they're not pasteurized. So anywhere.
Ooh, shot yourself in the foot there.
Yeah. But we're staying true to that.
That's all right.
So, you know, you can't get it in like Kelowna or Victoria or anywhere far like that. But anywhere like in the GVRD, you can find our juice at most grocery stores.
Wow.
And then we in terms of mass market, we put out a book with Penguin Random House in 2017. So it's got all of our recipes for food, juices, smoothies, cleanses, and like our whole plant-based lifestyle ethos and values. So we kind of like, if you want to start a juice bar, we like shared it all there.
Sweet.
It's like $14.99 on Amazon or something like that.
Hell yeah,
so,
we'll make sure to plug it in the show notes.
It's cheaper than you know, working on your own business plan if you want to just you know,
just take that one.
Yeah, take the fast track.
I love it.
We shared it all there.
That's amazing.
Or if you're not in Vancouver and you can't come by the juice truck and want to have your home juicer.
Yeah, or have your home juicer.
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny. I love these like local products, and of course I'm a small town guy as well, and everything is, you know, you just it's in your blood in a certain way. You're like, no, like these things are local. Like, yes, I'm eating potatoes, but I know the person that grew the potatoes, or like whatever it is. Like, of course I know all these people. And then when you go to urban centers, it's like, oh shit, there's this level of disconnect. Yeah. But I always love the close community oriented thing, just because it feels right. And it's fun. But with that, you have a lot of, because you're not, you know, taking the nutrients out and then putting it back in so it can be preserved longer and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. You give yourself scalability issues.
Yes.
Which
logistics
is
challenges
really
for sure.
tough, right? Yeah. So as, you know, if you can't sell in Victoria or Toronto without being out there, does that not put a glass ceiling?
Yeah, I mean, there's solutions around like every problem.
Okay.
There is technology out there that would allow us to preserve the nutrients without kind of making that compromise. Like there's something called HPP, which is like a high pressurization. So basically, it's like, you know, if you get like altitude sickness or something like that, they put you in like a pressurization tank.
Right.
There's a similar thing for food.
Ooh.
Where it you know, you puts the food under such a high pressure that the bad bacteria is not able to survive. So it extends the shelf life in like a more natural way.
How long?
Like 30 to 45 days. So pretty substantial.
Oh, shit.
So like there are alternatives like that. Like there is like, you know, some thought process of, you know, does it also kill some of the good bacteria that's in the juice as well, which is likely. But if you're trying to be inclusive and as approachable as possible, like being able to hit the markets where there are no health and wellness, like technology like that would allow you to get to like the Prince George's and like, you know, the far out cities that are further from, you know, from Vancouver or from the, you know, the bigger metropolitan cities, and make health and wellness more accessible, even if it's not in its purest state.
Right. And I guess the other solution is, well, just open up in that city.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so we opened in Steveston a couple years ago. Part of our growth model, we wanted to always be kind of like the gateway to health and be like an introduction and make it like approachable. So we do want to go like, we might want to do one more in Vancouver, but like the long-term goal is to like open in Surrey and open in Port Moody and open like in Kelowna or Victoria, like go to areas that, you know, when we opened, there wasn't a lot of health and wellness options in Vancouver. There wasn't a lot of vegan options in Vancouver, but now there is. So we kind of want to go to those places where, you know, you can't get those options. So,
dude, oh man, the island is ripe for you guys.
Yeah,
the island is like I don't know what the options are in the South Island or in the North Island. I know that for a fact there's nothing in the North Island.
For sure.
I don't know what there is in Victoria. I mean, I went to UVic and there was nothing then, but like
Ryan, my business partner Ryan, he went to UVic too.
Dude, it's a fun guy, right? That's what I'm talking about.
It's a good time out there. Yeah.
Oh, it's a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Victoria's amazing. Victoria's a perfect size city in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a couple 100,000, not too big, not too small. You have a nice like mix of university students, and there's the military presence there. There's also like a really cool alternative downtown scene.
Yeah.
And like there's a professional, like it's cool. It's a cool little mix or whatever.
Victoria's very cool.
You guys need to get there. ASAP.
Yeah. So that's the long-term goal, you know, go where there isn't
something already.
Yeah.
But at the same time, competition is good.
For sure. Absolutely.
And you guys are a cut above.
Well, I think if we can go into markets that don't have, you know, healthy options, and if people see that our brand does well, maybe it won't, maybe it will, but if it does do well, it'll attract more like-minded people to do similar things. So
it'll inspire.
Hopefully, or just like, you know, plant seeds for ideas for people to pursue their own, you know, ideas.
See, that's very interesting because there's two types of business owners. There's the business owners that are like, oh no, we have the secret sauce and it's ours and we're going to monopolize off of it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other type that's like, I mean, Elon comes to mind where it's just like, oh, you want to build, you know, a supercar, or you want to like, here's the blueprints.
Yeah.
Go try to figure it out. If you can do it better than us, cool.
Yeah.
Because the market's growing.
Yeah.
Right. But from a business standpoint, I always found it hard to stomach, where it's just like, if you have something, like you guys have something and you know you have it, you know, when you're like, hey, you know, we put out this book and, you know, the plans are in there. Like part of me is like, oh boy, like shit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I mean, it's not rocket science coming up with like juice and smoothie and salad recipes, but you know, if it's out there and, you know, we're open to, you know, the market growing, it just pushes us to pioneer new things and like continually keeps us on our toes to up our game and up our game and up our game. So like, you know, and I think there is room for a lot of people to do well.
Yeah, it's an emerging market. I get it, for sure.
Vancouver specifically is like, when I say Vancouver, I mean like the Lower Mainland. People are pretty healthy here, you know, like. Oh,
totally.
It's an active community. So
it's one of the best places in the world, hands down. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like it's it's unfreaking real. Especially like, it's funny. Like the sun's come out the last 7 days here, and you're just like, oh my god, I live here. Like what?
I've already got my sunburn from my birthday yesterday.
Hell
like,
yeah!
Damn.
I love it. I love it. It's so awesome. But then, you know what? There's places in the world that like literally have no access to any of this. You know, there's, you know, inner cities that like don't even have grocery stores, man.
For sure.
You know, so finding your way there could change cultures globally.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting conversation, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do that based on, you know, where you guys are at right now, but like there are so many cities just in North America alone, not even touching South America or touching Europe or Asia. Like holy crap.
Yeah, no, there's kids that are starving like right here in Vancouver. So you know, there's always more to do. When we were traveling India, one guy told us something that kind of stuck. Like, as a tourist or as a traveler, you know, you go and you like see the problems in other cities, like you see the poverty, or you see, you know, the homeless kids or the orphans or whatever, and you're like, I want to help this. But he's like, you know, you guys have the same problems in your home and you're not you're not looking to help it. So like, why do you come to our country and all of a sudden you want to have this helpful hand? Like, let us take care of, our issues, let us improve on them, and you take care of yours. And like, it kind of made us think like, it's true, when you travel, you want to volunteer and you want to help, but like you don't always have the same mentality like in our home backyard here. There's a lot of issues no matter what you're looking at, whether it's homelessness or poverty or hunger or whatever. There's lots that can be done locally.
Why is that? Why do because I do it too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good question. I think when you're going to other places, maybe you feel better if you're contributing something back versus just like taking as a tourist. You want to feel good about your tourism or whatever. But when we're here, maybe we see it more as a government issue versus something that we can.
That's a good point.
We can implement some help. Like there's so much that everybody can do if you want to. There's
oh my God. Yeah, there's endless things you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You want to feel like you're paying for your tourism, right? Like there's a give and take in everything you do, but like even if you're living in a place, you're constantly taking from it.
Yeah, for sure.
How is that different?
Yeah, what's our relationship with our hometown?
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I want to ask you about ghost kitchens.
Yeah.
And with the whole Uber Eats thing and the whole DoorDash and the whole Foodora and the 100,000 that we have here, Ritual just came through and made a little splash.
Yeah, that was big.
That was crazy. There's this growing phenomenon of like people not going to restaurants and just literally ordering online. Yeah. And from that has stemmed this thing of ghost kitchens, which are just kitchens that don't like have
a physical kitchen.
Have a kitchen. Like what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's super cool. The reason why I think it's so cool is I think it's in terms of like going back to approachability. It's a lot easier as a startup to rent a commissary space for $800 or $1,000 a month, and try out a concept, and just throw it up on Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, and see
That's a good point.
People are ordering it. You can pivot. You can be flexible. You can try things like rapidly daily, and kind of see what works. And grow your business with a fairly low risk. Like to get into the restaurant game, like we're a small beast compared to that. Like we're a cafe, but if you're going like full restaurant, it's expensive. Like that's a big investment. So if you can try it out on the low financially and like kind of prove that your product has a marketplace before making that investment, or going to the bank or finding investors or just spending your own money, you kind of have that proof of concept before diving in.
Oh, that's really cool.
Or as a restaurant that's already established itself, you can try out new things and like be like, okay, like, we're a burger place, but we've always wanted to do burritos,
so
like
do burritos.
Try it out, see if it works,
Yeah, so it's almost like an incubator.
Totally.
That's really cool. I never thought about that at all.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. I just had the bias of being like, ghost kitchens. People aren't in kitchens. I like human interaction. That's bad.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's like a different. You're gonna have a different experience than going to a restaurant. Like,
of course.
If you're going on a date night or you want to go with your friends and have a drink, like you're not gonna go like order something from a ghost kitchen. You're gonna go physically have an experience. But like if you're like Game of Thrones is gonna be on Sunday and you want to try something new for dinner, it's a decent thing to try out.
I love it. I love that perspective. I never thought of it that way. I was always just like, I don't want the restaurant industry to die. But I think there will always be a place actual restaurants, human interaction, experience, atmosphere, all these things, right?
Yeah.
Like you just go into certain places and just like the smell or like what the table feels like, these weird little intricacies that like make a place your spot are like, I don't think those will ever die.
Yeah, for sure. As long as people want to go out and have a good time and like interact with other humans, like there's going to be restaurants.
As long as we're not doing it in VR.
Yeah.
We'll see though.
That'll be the next ghost kitchen, like put your goggles on and
shit.
Spooky.
Super spooky.
Black Mirror style.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of Black Mirror started coming out like not that long ago, and now there's a lot of Black Mirror stuff that's like, that's here.
I haven't watched too many Black Mirror episodes, but every single one I was like, that's scary, and that's definitely going to happen.
That's scary, and that's super plausible.
Yeah.
Like, that is like a couple years down the line, maybe a decade, we'll see, but that's like almost here.
Did you see the one where they like walked around with their phones and everything? Like, they would get a score on things. Like, if I had an interaction with you, I'd give you like a 5 out of 5, and like, so I could see.
Oops.
I could see like, you know, that person's like a 4.5, and like that was your currency. Like, you could only get into the bar if you were like a 4.2 or a 4.3, and like. It's pretty scary.
And they're rolling something like that out in China right now.
Oh, really? So there you go.
WeChat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know WeChat. Yeah.
Okay, that's spooky.
Black Mirror predicts it all.
Okay, that's spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not even go down that road. That's super, super creepy. It's like because all of your transactions and all of your movement is centralized through one app. It's like all of your social networks and your banking and everything going through one app. So you have an information, just freaking database that's crazy. And then you can then, so they're assigning citizen currencies, I think, or something like that, or citizen scores.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know shit about that, but it is happening.
I was pretty stoked that Instagram got rid of its likes, though. I was getting rid of its likes. I think that's a cool thing, because I think, you know, we measure like likes are a currency, and we measure, you know, success or popularity or whatever it might be, like through how many likes or followers. So that I think that's a really positive step for social mental health to kind of take that out of the equation.
So cool. Yeah. I mean, as content creators ourselves, it's always like we'll have guests on that won't do as well, that have unreal content. Unreal content. We're like, why didn't this do as well? Like, was it time of day? Was it like certain angles that we use? And we're just like constant, like, hey, we need to get more engagement. And now it's just like, content is king, content wins. Like, if it's good, just make the content good, period. That's it.
Put it out there.
Just make it good.
No likes attached.
No likes attached.
That's cool.
That's a new brand to be made.
Yeah, there you go.
No likes attached. Let's go. I've got like 3 things out of you, man. Always filter fun. Google expert. And now this.
There you go. A couple catchphrases for the day.
Let's go. I love it. I know I got to run here, but I really want to talk to you about the whole plant-based methodology, because I actually haven't had this conversation.
Cool,
which is crazy because it's a super mainstream.
It's happening.
It's happening.
I like to think it's happening.
Oh, that's
my bubble.
It's 100% happening. So I'm a person that I'm looking at I'm in the middle of everything, and I just see everything happening around me. I'm like, I don't know what is going on. I know people on the carnivore diet. I know people on the keto diet. I know a ton of vegans, a ton of vegetarians. I know people that swear by juicing. I know people that think it's literally the devil. And I'm just like, there are so many freaking information sources everywhere. Okay, one by one, you tell your thing, and I'll try to take something in.
That's tough.
And I'm over here like, yo, man, I don't have all the money to be going and doing these things and trying this thing and pivoting over here and all this type of stuff. So you're a vegan, you subscribe to the whole thing, plant-based. What got you onto it? What's the history, and why is it your jam?
For sure. So, I mean, growing up, I was like a typical high school guy that was into sports and, thought I needed all the meat-based protein. Like, I was a hamburger guy, wings every Wednesday, proud of how many wings I could eat. And then I went to, during university, there was a class called environmental ethics. Ooh. And that sounds cool. I like, going for hikes, and I like the environment, and signed myself up. Yeah. And a big part of that class was, the impact of animal agriculture on the environment. Yeah. And also animal ethics. So I took the 101 class, and I was like really into it, and was, participating in the class, and it was probably the most thought-provoking class that I took in second year or whatever it was. But I didn't make any lifestyle changes. I was just really into it. And then I took the 201 class for the next year, and a bunch of the same students. And I remember going for lunch after, and we were talking about all the stuff we learned. And my friend from the class, Zoe, she'd be a cool guest too, Zoe Pellet. She's the great vegan converter. Have her on, and all your listeners will be vegan.
Zoe Pellet, I'll write it down.
Yeah, she's got the vegan project and does a bunch of cool stuff. So we were having lunch, and I ordered a burger or whatever, and she was like, Zach, I don't get it. You're you're like one of the most like active participants in the class, and you're like preaching all the stuff, but you're like
eating a burger.
Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I just didn't make that connection. And like her kind of like pointing it out was like, oh yeah, like you're right. So that kind of like made a lot of sense. So kind of like the things I was learning in terms of like animal agriculture was like, it just isn't sustainable. So like,
100%.
To have in terms of calories in, calories out, like you're putting like to have chicken or whatever, like you have to give that chicken water, you have to feed that chicken in terms of like the calories going in to the calories that you're physically eating. Like it's not an efficient system. It's more efficient just to eat the food that you're going to feed the chicken and have the water that you're going to feed the chicken.
I haven't heard it put that way. That's pretty good.
You're basically like the meat is the middleman, and you're like investing all these resources into it, and it's not like if it was a financial equation, you'd be losing every time because you're putting more in than you're getting out. So that was one thing that kind of like stood out to me. The other was like the impact on our physical planet, like, because of cattle and basically animal agriculture, like it's the leading cause for deforestation. Like they're like clearing the Amazon rainforest. They're like, clearing land at rapid rates that we're not going to be able to recover from. It's leading to extinction of like, valuable animals and insects and resources that beyond like, having a hamburger on your plate. So those were kind of like the water resources are huge. Like we're going to have water wars, and we're dumping so much water into like, basically, like I was saying, into like these meals that would be better put into growing plants that can feed exponentially more people. So that was kind of like the first thing, like the environmental side, and like that's not even getting into like the methane and like the gas.
It's ridiculous.
The greenhouse gases. Like animal agriculture contributes more to like than the whole transportation system.
Yeah, methane is 25 times more powerful than carbon.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So like the environmental side, like if you consider yourself an environmentalist, like you shouldn't be eating meat, because I think, you're kind of being an activist every time you choose your meal. Like if you're having a plant-based meal,
vote with your dollar.
You're voting with your dollar, and you're contributing to a world that you want to see for the future.
So to play devil's advocate there a little bit, then what about local meat and like I go down to the farmer's market and get a steak or whatever it is.
Yeah.
To play devil's advocate there,
yeah.
What's the issue there?
Well, it's just not sustainable on like a large scale. Like there's like close to 8 billion people on the earth. The amount of land that takes up, like in terms of sustainability, factory farming is more sustainable than locally grown.
Which is
because they're more efficient with the amount of land that they're taking up, the resources that are going.
Economies of scale.
Yeah. So like, I mean, maybe it feels good. I think there's a lot of like feel good marketing terms for meat to make you feel better about your choices, but in the end, like I think the future is going to be plant-based. Like like there's the environmental side, there's the health side, and then they kind of all inform each other. Then there's the animal cruelty side, like just not wanting to do to others what you'd want done to yourself. Like, they live terrible, terrible lives where they're basically like raped and murdered, and their children are stolen from them like, minutes after they're born. It's a very like violent, terrible industry. So like if you were to, I think there's like romantic tendencies to like what farms were like in like the 20s or 30s, but like that's not the case anymore. It's basically like, animal abuse on like a major scale. We kind of talk a lot about it's like the last, like it's like, back in the day, there was racial issues, there was color issues, there were gender issues. Animal issues is like the next big thing to like go for kind of mass awareness, like knowing where your food actually comes from.
It's going to be one of the greatest like tragedies of our time. Like if you look back, like I don't know if it'll happen in our generation, the next generation, or the generation. I don't know. But it's like you're gonna look back when we're older and say,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, he
Yeah.
was alive
Yeah.
when that shit was happening."
Yeah.
Like, just go watch just any documentary on like mass produced meat. It's just go do the research yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's lots of documentaries out there.
Yeah.
If you watch, I watched a couple of them, and on the environmental side, watch Cowspiracy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember or if you watch Earthlings, like that'll make you like not want to eat meat ever again. I watched that like after I had that conversation. She's like, just go watch Earthlings and like see how you feel.
Yeah.
Like I challenge anybody to go watch Earthlings and like want to go eat a cheeseburger after that.
Yeah.
And like cool thing, like there's a couple exciting things. Like I don't think you have to make compromise anymore. Like maybe 10 years ago you did, but now there's like everything you want in like a traditional diet. Like they've got that vegan. Like you can get like amazing vegan ice cream and burgers and pizzas and like basically everything that you could ever want. They've got a version of that just happens to be vegan.
Yeah, totally.
And then another exciting thing that just happened this week is Beyond Meat went public, and it's the biggest IPO of 2019. Like
it's the biggest IPO since the financial crisis.
Yeah, and it's it's one of the first vegan companies to go public.
I think it is the first.
Yeah, it probably is.
I might be wrong.
And to see that reaction is just insane. Like
yeah, but Zach, at the same time, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, not overly surprised, but it's super exciting to encourage future businesses to take that path.
Yeah, when I saw what it was going public at, and I was like, really?
Yeah, people made some money.
Yeah. Anyways, so Beyond Meat's very, very promising.
Yeah.
I had a Beyond Meat burger when I found out it was going public.
Yeah.
It's a good ass burger, man.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like, I don't eat it. I don't do fast food.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get a Beyond at A&W or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, shit, like
they're pretty good.
This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely. I wouldn't even call it a compromise.
Yeah.
At all.
And that's what they're going after. Like they're not going after like trying to compete with the veggie burgers of the world. Like they're going to compete. They want to compete with like beef burgers. Like which is super cool.
No, totally. And you know what? It's like it's funny. I was eating it. I was with my girlfriend Tracy, and I was like, the only thing that doesn't have, like, it just doesn't have, like, if I have a burger, like, I'm, like, anticipating, like, I want that shitty feeling, like, I want that, like, oh, this is a greasy burger, like, I need that, like, I don't feel that here, this is just food, like, I'm like, where's that shit feeling?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's funny how we crave that, we're like, I just want to sink my teeth in this just disgusting double cheeseburger and just love it, this savagery.
Yeah, get that grease, get that fat,
get that
salt.
grease, like, love it, and then you're just eating this Beyond burger and you're like, oh, this is like a good burger.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of different substitutes now. The market's grown and there's a million different ways that you can find everything that you have without meat 100%. What about from the nutrient side? How have you adapted? What's the story there?
Well, it's just I personally think a plant-based, whole food, whole grain diet's the healthiest diet on the planet. Like you're getting that fiber game, you're getting protein, you're getting that
fiber game. I love it.
I know we were talking about our friend Keem earlier. He always says like there's a couple of catchphrases that I think are good. Like one's count colors, not calories, and one's count nutrients instead of calories. So like if you're having an array of food, like a traditional like meat diet is pretty boring. Like you're having like chicken,
potatoes,
and steak and potatoes and chicken and steak and potatoes. Like it's like not a lot of variety, but once you start to mix things up with vegetables and grains and stuff, like your palate just opens up. Like it
becomes
all of a sudden,
vibrant.
Yeah, you're painting with like 100 colors instead of 4.
Yeah.
And with all those colors are different nutrients and different vitamins, and like it's just like a very easy way to nourish yourself and feel healthy all the time.
And variety in like shape and size as well. Like I don't know, like someone told me this when I was a kid, but it was like whatever you're eating, like that the shape of what you're eating gives you clues to what it helps in your body. Like walnuts are good for the brain and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, like that's crazy. That's the only example I can think of off the top of my head. But like I'm sure you've heard that.
And in terms of like protein, that's always a big question.
Oh
like,
yeah,
like
that's a myth.
it's a myth. Like
Yeah.
what do the animals eat to get their protein? They eat the vegetables and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like the strongest animals on the planet are all like plant-based animals, like gorillas
Yeah.
and giraffes and like, all the big strong animals eat mostly plants.
That's totally true.
And then even like the animals that we're eating and consuming, like what's in that meat? Like, is it full of antibiotics? Are the crops that they're eating full of pesticides and GMOs? Like, like what kind of hormone levels in it? Like, what kind of mental state were they in when they were killed? Like, what kind of stress were they going through? So like, what's actually in that meal that you're eating? Versus like, I like to say, cut out the middleman. Like, why eat a chicken for protein when the chicken's getting its protein from grains? Like, why not just eat the grains that the chicken's getting its protein from?
I really like that business analogy there. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
we talk about, or you can talk about, in an economy, you talk about efficiency and energy efficiency. Like, people don't understand how like inefficient, for instance, like combustion engines are, or how inefficient, like even conductors of electricity, like solar power is not, like the conversion rates are not great. It's much better than anything else we have, but it's still like you're still losing like 50% of your power just on basic, like just little things like that. If you talk about if food input, like if we talk about energy, like what the calories are in that food versus what you're putting in there versus what is coming out, like it's not like 20%, 15%, it's like 1%, 0.5% of like you're creating this many calories from this many calories. If those were dollars, that would make zero freaking sense.
0 cents. Still,
like,
everybody would be out of business.
Everyone would 100% be out of business. And again, that's not even touching on like hormone release in cows or whatever, right? Like if your cow is stressed or if your animal is stressed, those like hormones get released into the muscles to activate the muscles because it's fight or flight. That literally poisons the meat. Like, have you ever had like a home, like a cow that was stressed out and then killed? Like it tastes like shit. It actually does. Like that's not just some like vegan woo woo talk. Like no, like trust me, I do eat meat. I have eaten these steaks and they taste terrible.
Like
you know what I'm saying?
If they know they're walking into slaughter, which they all do. Like think about the mental state they're going to be in. Like,
100%.
I mean, it's no different than if I was like, if 30 of your friends, if you heard them all screaming, dying in the room next door and you knew you were next, like you wouldn't be going into that in like a meditative state, you'd be like,
you'd be freaking
the fuck out.
You'd be freaking the fuck out. That's not a good life. And so to again play devil's advocate here. So again, yes, the strongest animals and whatnot, they do 100% eat plants. It's like literally the strongest. But on the flip side of that is humans have developed traditionally in a different way, where our stomachs and our microbiomes have developed in a different way. The most valid argument that I've found on the other side is that humans haven't developed the stomachs to have the most bioavailable solely from plants, meaning yes, there may be more protein. We can't necessarily get it efficiently into our bodies. And that we have developed historically eating meat, so our bodies haven't fully transitioned because evolution is slow.
I mean, my argument against that is like, if you look at us, like we're not naturally carnivores. Like look at our nails, they're soft and brittle. Like we can't claw through anything. Like look at our teeth. Like if you went and like attacked a pig with your fingers and your teeth, like you're not going to be able to chomp through its thick skin. And like in terms of like digestion, like we have to cook most things to be able to actually digest it. Like actual carnivores, like they use their teeth and their claws and they just eat that shit raw, right? Like they're like eating an animal alive basically. Whereas we have to like, put it on the frying pan and cook it to like 400 degrees to be able to digest it.
Kill
properly.
The parasites and all that.
So we're not actually like, I think our system's actually more aligned with herbivores, like maybe towards omnivores, if anything, but definitely not like, if you look at carnivores, like true carnivores, like a lion or something like that, like they'll
fucking kill you, bro.
Their canines can like, crush skulls and break through bones, and like their claws can like rip something to shreds. Like we're not in the same theater as like actual carnivore animals.
Oh, it's scary, man. Like if you ever actually like, I've seen black bears. Like I also know people have seen grizzly bears. Like dude,
Like
that's meant to kill.
These fingers are better for picking blueberries and blackberries and apples than getting into combat with an animal and like turning it into a meal without using like resources, tools and fire and all of that stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy. It's scary. And some of those, like, oh man, like, fuck, you see some of those animals like actually go to war. Like, that is some horrific shit, man.
I think we've been able to use tools and all of that, so we're able to hide behind that. But most true carnivores aren't using like, the tools that we
have. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anyways, let's transition back. I know you got to wrap here a little bit, but I do want to ask you, in seeing the juice truck and where it's at and how many locations you guys have and how you've grown as a business, I'm really interested. I mean, it's obviously a success story, like 100%. There's no way that you can twist that story. When you look back, what has been, aside from the hangover cure, like what have been your biggest failures? Have you had any failed locations? Have you tried to go any like macro business ways that just really haven't worked out?
That's a good question. I mean, the truck has kind of transitioned into a different strategy. Like the truck used to be like, a storefront for us. But communities change. So Gastown isn't quite what it was when we launched. There's also other options in Gastown now. So we've kind of pivoted the truck to be more like a marketing tool than an actual storefront. Like it's more for like events and pop-ups and stuff like that than an actual like brick and mortar. And that's part of the flexibility of having a truck, is you can kind of move it around. I'm trying to think on like, usually whenever we open a store, it takes like a year to kind of like hit traction.
A year?
So,
oh my gosh.
So like that, you kind of want to freak out in the first couple months if you're not hitting like your financial targets. But usually if we like stay focused and don't freak out, like by 12 months, we're hitting our targets.
You develop the community around that location.
Yeah, it takes time to kind of like educate and spread brand awareness. I'm trying to think of like specific examples. I think like the night menu is like the best one.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
We did like, this is maybe a smaller one. Like we're mostly a gluten-free store as well, and that's like just like a happy accident. It's never been like intentional. So we did introduce some products with gluten in them like a year ago. Okay. And like people were pissed, and we didn't even know like that people were coming to us to that degree because we were gluten-free. Oh, wow. So like we had a couple salads that we introduced the gluten to, and like they didn't sell at all. So
did you like introduce like breadcrumbs or something like in your salads?
Yeah, we just used some like grains that weren't gluten-free, like some farro and stuff like that. And yeah, people like, they didn't sell. People were like, "Oh, is your kitchen not gluten-free?" We're like, "Oh, like,
what is this?
Does that matter to you?" And like we found out that like
that was a big
amount of our following was prescribing to like the gluten-free diet as well. So that was a bit of we do have some like gluten products, like we've got Aaron's banana bread and a few other things, but our core products are all, we went back to keeping everything gluten-free. So that was a bit of like
sorry guys.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Yeah.
We're all right.
Yeah, we're gluten-free again. Yeah. Please come back.
Yeah. Hey, come in. Yeah. Sweet. So, like, 2 examples.
Yeah.
Over 8 years. Like.
Yeah, obviously there's more examples than that.
But just the fact that those 2 come, like, there's only 2 that like come to mind versus like, oh man, we did like 30 things wrong. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that there was a ton of like missteps along the way. I'm not trying to paint you guys out as a perfect company.
I mean, we make mistakes every day. Of course. Sure.
Of course. But still.
But we're like, we're quick. We're pretty agile as a business. Yeah. So when something doesn't work, we just change it up.
Cut your losses and go. Yeah. Cool. That being said, like what's next for you guys? What's big on the horizon? Where are you guys trying to push your thought, push your business? Where are you guys going with this whole thing?
Yeah. Well, we want to slowly do more stores and have a bigger imprint that way. But we also want to grow like our culture internally. So like, have bigger growth opportunities for our staff and our team. So we do want to slow our growth a little bit so we can work more on our internal structure and our internal growth to like be able to like optimize like how we do things as a business for our team. So that's something that we really want to work on.
Wow.
We want to keep having fun.
Yes. Use fun as a filter.
So more cycling, more soccer, more events.
Yes.
We're working on some new business concepts with, I know we mentioned Erin Ireland.
Yeah.
We're working on a vegan food hall concept with her. So we're a couple years away, but we're kind of working on it.
Some ears just perked up.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's kind of on the side where we're kind of spending our time kind of working on some of those ideas. And we're excited where that can go. But
that's super cool.
Yeah. So we're probably a good 2 years out from that being a reality, but we're working on it now. And it should be pretty cool.
Do you guys so the question people that are listening want me to ask, where's the next location popping up?
Yeah, we're working on one for downtown Vancouver.
Yeah.
So that'll be the next spot.
You guys, I see your truck on Robson.
Yeah, we got our little smoothie cart at Robson and Burrard. And then after that, I think we'll refocus on the suburbs. So probably Surrey Central, South Surrey.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be the two kind of areas that we'll focus on next.
Amazing. So Zach, you're 30.
33.
You're 33.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, when you walk away from this thing, where do you want it to be?
I just want to, the plant-based filter and having an impact of creating a culture that's fun and approachable. Those are kind of our two filters. Mm-hmm. And never taking things too seriously. So if we can plant seeds to we never want to be preachy about anything. I think people have to make their own decisions and kind of find their own information and see how that affects them. But our goal is to kind of be able to plant seeds of information and hopefully those grow into positive things. That's a big goal for us.
Totally. So I couldn't agree more.
Hopefully leaving this place. I've got a 20-month-old son, so I want to leave the place.
Oh, congrats!
Better off for him than where we're at now. That's a big goal.
That's amazing. I love it. You know what? That's leaving the planet better for sure. And on the vegan and on the ethical and on the gluten free. There's no argument there. There's just not from a sustainability, deforestation is literally is so grandioso, and it's hard to even comprehend. There's stuff going on in Brazil right now that the president's trying to push through, and there's different factory farming is horrific as well. From an ethical standpoint, there's just there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So leaving the planet better is just we're at a point where it's not that shouldn't be hey, it'd be nice to leave the planet better. It's
we need to do something
now.
Yesterday. And that's so cool. That's what really excites me about the plant-based lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I feel just voting for that, if you take meat and dairy and all of that out of your diet, you're actually voting against deforestation. You're voting against animal cruelty. You're voting for the environment. You're voting for your health. So I think that small shift of just what you're putting on your plate is actually such a macro influence you can have on the future of the state of the planet, really.
Totally. I think that's beautiful. A lot of tiny things add up. There's a ton of other things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint and what you're leaving behind. I'll let you guys go and do your own research on that one. Because it is deep. Whether that's from recycling your refrigeration units to how what you're driving, to what you're eating, to how many planes you go, to what's in your investment portfolio. There's a lot of ways that you can impact, and people have no clue.
Most of the solutions are there. If we just 100% tune into them.
100%. The technology's there.
The
technology's there, and the solutions are there. So I applaud you guys for that, and I also applaud you guys for just having that mindset of let's put knowledge out there. And if you want to pick it up, pick it up. Because from my standpoint, I'm a young guy, and I'm well, I might not be right. There's a pretty good chance that maybe I'm right a little bit, but I'm probably wrong on a ton of things.
For sure. Absolutely.
So let me just throw this shit out there. You guys do with it what you will. And go from there. Even, just explaining the vegan thing or explaining the juice thing. It's okay, that's really interesting. Let's dig into that a little bit. Okay, now we have these facts. Maybe we can make decisions from here versus hey, this is the solve all. You want to be fit, you want to do this, celery juice, or you want to lose weight, be a vegan, you want to help the world, it's just no. nah, here's all these things. Here's what we know. Here's what we don't know. Here's what we're learning. Figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like be an informed human.
Yeah, it's a process.
So I really applaud you guys for that. And I mean, shit, that's what we're trying to do here as well. It's just like, you know,
You guys are doing a
bring
good
knowledge
job.
to the forefront, and then you guys take it, go wherever the hell you want.
Yeah.
But our job is done in that, you know, you have the knowledge on the surface, right? Because
Absolutely.
I don't think that any, you know, if you go all the way down one path or all the way down the other path, I don't think that's ever a good thing. I think you need to always be open-minded, at least to,
Yeah.
you know, other things that are out there, right? Yeah. Anyways, I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
You're a blast.
I appreciate it.
And a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait to see you guys grow.
Guess
And I
what?
can't wait to see you guys like just build your culture and build the knowledge base. I would love if you guys, you know, having you on this podcast is amazing. I'd love if you guys found other ways to like build the knowledge base around what you're doing, because I think that's super important and would ultimately lead to probably a bigger consumer base.
Yeah, that's the goal. You guys will have to come ride bikes with us sometime.
Hell yes. I would love to come ride my bike with you
Yeah.
guys. Amazing. All right, Zach, I'll let you go ride your bike.
Yes.
And thanks so much. Where can people find you? Where can they get at you?
For the Juice Truck on Instagram at Juice Truck, Facebook.com/Juice Truck. Our website's www.thejuicetruck.ca.
Nice.
If you want to follow me personally, I'm at Zach Truck.
Nice. Zach Truck, yeah, that's right.
If you want to follow our cycling on Strava, if you just search we're partnered with Trek Bikes. So
Oh.
if you search Juice Trek.
Oh, this is
instead of
bigger than a
Trek.
little cycle club,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
guy.
yeah, we're teamed up with Trek on this one. So
Cool.
if you search Juice Trek Cycling Club, we're
Amazing.
on Strava, and you can join our club there.
Cool. And your locations are...
Oh yeah, so to find us physically, we've got our kind of our HQ is at 5th in Ontario.
Yeah.
We've got a store at Main and 27th. We've got one in Yaletown on mainland, 1022 mainland. And then we've got one in Steveston and Richmond on First Ave. And then our cart is at Burrard and Robson downtown. And then if you just search the Juice Truck on Amazon, you can find our book if you're not in Vancouver.
I love it.
Yeah.
There you guys go. Go do your own research. Go get some juice, man. It's good for
Yes.
you. Awesome. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. That's a wrap.